Hey y'all, it's Jessica from Just Give Me Jesus, and I wanted to share with y'all a process video that I did. I did some ink swatching, but honestly my video just wasn't that fun, so I thought, okay, let's just get to it and play with some inks. So I decided that we would try using spray inks in our Bible, or in my Bible. And what I did was I added a coat of the clear gesso by Dina Wakley. And I also am adding the clear gesso to this little card because I have plans for it before this is over. But the clear gesso on my page, I don't always use gesso on my page, but because I'm going to use spray inks and they tend to be a heavier medium and saturate the page, I decided to use the clear gesso. So I'm doing that, and I'm using my new little Ranger heat tool. Y'all, this thing is fantastic. If you don't have one, you need one. It is awesome. And I'm using Distress Oxide spray in Picked Raspberry, and it is such a vibrant pink. And I'm just smushing it down with a dictionary page. This is an old page that is kind of coated, so it worked to kind of spread it around a little bit. And I just wanted some different texture and effect. So I did it more than once. But I love how it's already making some marks within the ink spray. And I tried to speed up the drying. I did spritz it with water because I love it when it adds the little bubbles throughout. I call them bubbles. I am sure there's a technical name for it. But to me, they're little bitty bubbles. And now I'm adding some speckled egg. I just added a little bit, and I wasn't real happy with the contrast of that color with the picked raspberry. It really got lost. Speckled egg is actually probably my favorite color in the Distress Oxides, but it just wasn't doing it with this pink, this really vibrant pink. So I decided to get some Lindy's Starburst sprays in Whale Watch Blue, and I'm actually trying to get it down right now, and I'm using an old Dymo label back because it's slick and I could squish it. So I did. I squished it on the page. This is a really pretty blue. It kind of turns a little purple, but I like that when it mixes with a different ink. And the neatest thing with spray inks is that you can use different kinds. You can use different colors, different kinds, and it just turns out so neat and pretty. And you can see it's already adding some blotches and watermarks and circles, and I think they call it oxidizing, whatever. That's real technical. We're just going to go with it. Make some really cool texture. Again, this heat tool is fantastic. It does such a great job drying it evenly and not getting one spot too hot and burning it. Because later you'll see me use an embossing tool when I need to heat something specific. But this is new to me. I know tons of people have it. And I'm throwing bits and pieces that are around my desk around. And that's okay too. Now I'm going to use Tibetan Poppy Teal. It's probably my favorite of my Lindy's Stamp Gang sprays that I have. It's got several kind of deep colors, and it's so pretty. And when you saw me first spray it, it was a real light color because I rinse my spray tops out after I use them to make sure that I clear anything that would clog them up. I just dip them in hot water and spray it in the sink until it sprays clear. So sometimes when I spray it at first, it's a very light color until I can get the spray and the richer colors up in the nozzle. So again, y'all, this is such a cool texture this is making. It is so pretty. And I'm just drying it really, really well. And I'm going to sit this aside while I work on the other piece to this page. But look at that. Is that not so neat and pretty? All those little bubbles and marks and squishy marks, and oh, so pretty. Anyway, okay, that to the side for a minute. Now I'm going to work on my tag, and I have plans for this tag. So I'm using a Ranger embossing pen, a clear embossing pen, as well as some Distress Glaze to add just another little visual element to this tag. I had seen Tim Holtz live videos recently, and I don't really know why I was shaking that bottle. It just felt like it needed to be shaken. Anyway, I'm coloring in the little blue flowers on this tag, and this tag is from Pink Paper Peppermints, a new creation collection, and I just love the flowers on it, but I love all of her stuff. Anyway, so that is the Distress Glaze embossing powder, and I am just taking a paintbrush because it kind of stuck to that card, and it did that probably because I had recently put the clear gesso on it. So I'm just trying to kind of get off the excess, which I usually just don't care. And then I'm going to hit it with a embossing tool. So this is a heat gun that is going to direct the heat inlet. It was hot. My fingers tolerate a lot of heat. I'm weird like that, but it was hot. I was okay though. It didn't burn me. It was all good. But look, isn't that pretty? They're kind of shiny now. And I decided it probably needed just a little more pizzazz. So I'm going to put that back in there because I make a hot mess with that stuff if I get it anywhere. That and glitter. I can make a mess with both of them. This is Kitsch Flamingo. I'm sure I'm not pronouncing that right because if you listen to our podcast, you know us and words. Well, anyway, but that's how I pronounce it. So I'm just doing some little highlights in some of the flowers. I'm really not doing a ton on them, just some of the little highlights I'm going over. And I'm going to add this Kitsch Flamingo to it and knock it off. Just get off the excess. This time I don't worry about the brushing. This one didn't stick very much to it. I'm sure it was user error the first time. So I'm just going to get that out of the way, and then I'm going to hit this with that heat tool. Not really hit it, you know what I mean. Although there are times I have felt like that if I get really frustrated with something. Okay, and I love watching it when it heats and becomes hard and melts that little plastic. So cool. You can see where it's shiny in the different places. So pretty. Just adds just a little different touch. And I think it's so neat that you can do this to really anything. If you use the Distress Glazes and the embossing pen. So that is done. And now I'm going to kind of put my other elements together because I have this butterfly from Pink Paper Peppermints, the Secret Place April kit. And I added some glitter and some stickles. Is it stickles? You know, I forgot to look to it. The little things you squeeze out of the bottle that are glittery. They're pretty. It's kind of like a glitter glue. I think it's stickles. We're going to go with that. And right now I'm actually looking for a word because I want it to go with a certain verse on here. And I wanted the word remember. And I can't tell you what color I'm using because I don't know. But I'm just going around that with my little blendy tool because I didn't like it being stark white. I have a thing with inks around the edges. My butterfly's already been done. But I'm actually going to go around this card and just age it a little bit by getting it good and inked up around the edges. And every time I start working with a collage or different elements, I realize that I just think of something else to do. So I get this little punch. It's a little oblong punch that I found on Amazon. And then I decide I'm going to add some metallic thread that I got at Hobby Lobby as my ribbon. Because, I mean, it sparkles. And you can't have too much sparkle most of the time. Sometimes you can, but not on this. But it's so much fun to play with things that we don't normally do. I don't typically do spray inks in my Bible. But with the podcast and us talking about spray inks and using them and playing around with your different products that you have, I just decided to do this. This would be fun. Let's pull it out and work on spray inks in our Bible and see what happens. If you haven't listened to our podcast, please head over to the webpage that I'll have in the comment section, or the section in the notes. I'm getting confused with podcast show notes and YouTube descriptions and all that. Anyway, I'll have it below the website where you can go listen to our podcast. It has been such a blessing and so much fun. We talk about some really neat things, some things that some of us have absolutely no clue about, and I'm talking about myself. I'm not naming anybody else's names. I'm talking about me. But Laurie, Melissa, and I have just had a great time with it. And when I'm doing a collage, I'm really just looking around, trying to decide what looks good. I just look at it and say, okay, what does my eye like here? So then I'm adding my glue, and I love this Scotch glue. It's my favorite stick glue, and it's pretty cheap on Amazon. I usually buy it in bulk because I use a lot of it. So I go ahead and stick in the tag there, and then I'm like, okay, I like collages. I mean, this is a little collage, but it might be a good idea to add a little bit more. That's not working though. Not liking it. So I'm thinking I'm going to stick that down real quick. Then I think a safety pin on the top of the tag, a mini one, a Tim Holtz mini safety pin would be super cute. And it was, until I put the butterfly down. So you're going to see me put it in, and then you're going to see me, I'm like all happy because it's adorable. And then I put my butterfly where I want it to go, and you can't see the safety pin. So don't get too excited. I was. And then I had some disappointment because the safety pin came out. But I wasn't going to waste it if it couldn't be seen. See how sad that is when you had your perfect place and you weren't thinking about the wings covering it up? But it's okay. Take it out. And then I'm like, okay, can I put it in my butterfly? And I was like, nah, let me just, no safety pin. Just, it's okay. I don't have to have a safety pin. But I decide that I do need a little more of a collage here. So I dig into some vintage stamps that I have, and I liked just that long one. I also found a piece of vintage wallpaper, and so I decided I'm going to make this work and put that little stamp there and put my remember on top of it. And I'm actually going to end up tearing that vintage wallpaper a little bit because I like to tear things. It's very therapeutic. I like tearing paper. But anyway, I get that done, and I'm happy with that. I like that result. Eventually. No, I do. I do like it. So I got to glue that down, and then I realize I'm happy with it. I like how the page looks. It doesn't need any more, or to my eyes, it doesn't. Some of you may be looking at it and thinking, yeah, it does, but that's okay. This is my Bible. Yours can be completely different. Anyway, I really appreciate you watching, and I hope you've enjoyed us spraying ink sprays in my Bible. If you have any tips or tricks with ink sprays, or would like to tell me some things that you've tried with them, I'd love to hear it. Make sure and check out our podcast and find me on Instagram at Just Give Me Jesus. You can check out the links below if you would like to check any of it out. Have a fantastic day.